Listen to me very carefully, because what I'm about to say might destroy the most comfortable lie you've been living with. The lie that one day luck will find you. That somehow, without becoming sharper, stronger, more disciplined, life will just work out. It won't. Luck is not late to your life. It never existed in the first place. And the moment you understand this, you stop waiting and you start winning. People love the word luck because it removes responsibility. It gives weak minds a place to hide. When someone succeeds, they say, he got lucky. When they fail, they whisper, it wasn't my time. That's how average people protect their ego. But reality doesn't care about your feelings. Reality only responds to work. Cold, boring, repetitive, painful work. The kind of work that nobody claps for. The kind of work you do when motivation dies and excuses scream the loudest. That's not luck. That's dominance being built in silence. Here's the truth nobody wants to hear. The world is brutally fair. You don't get what you hope for, you get what you earn. If your bank account is empty, your discipline was empty first. If your body is weak, your habits were weak long before that. If your life feels small, it's because your daily actions are small. Luck didn't fail you. You failed to show up consistently. And once you accept that, something powerful happens. You gain control. Look at every man you admire. Every winner, every champion, every unstoppable force. You think they rolled out of bed and success fell into their lap. No, they sacrificed comfort when others chased pleasure. They trained when others slept. They worked when others complained. They didn't wait for perfect conditions. They became dangerous in imperfect ones. That's why when opportunity appeared, they were ready. People called it luck. It wasn't. It was preparation meeting opportunity. Most people want the reward without the pressure. They want respect without discipline, money without struggle, confidence without suffering. That fantasy is why they stay broke, weak, and invisible. Because real confidence is built when you keep promises to yourself. Real power is built when you do what you said you'd do, especially when you don't feel like it. Every rep, every hour, every sacrifice stacks. And one day people call you lucky, not knowing the price you paid. Understand this. Work decides everything, not talent, not connections, not timing. Relentless work sharpens talent, builds connections, and creates perfect timing when you outwork everyone in the room. Luck becomes irrelevant. You don't need it. You become the standard eye. While others are waiting for a sign, you're already 10 steps ahead. While they're hoping, you're executing. And execution beats hope every single time. Luck is the most comfortable lie ever sold to weak minds because it allows people to escape responsibility without feeling ashamed. The moment someone fails, they whisper to themselves that luck wasn't on their side. The moment someone else wins, they shrug and say he was lucky. That single word protects fragile egos and destroys potential at the same time. Because as long as you believe luck controls outcomes, you will never feel the urgency to change yourself. You will wait instead of act. You will hope instead of build. And hoping has never produced power. Here's a hard truth that hits like a punch to the chest. Nobody successful is sitting at the top because of luck. They are there because they did what others refused to do for years. Late nights, early mornings, boring routines, repetitive effort. Sacrifice that didn't look glamorous on social media. Luck didn't wake them up when they were tired. Luck didn't force them to train when their body wanted comfort. Luck didn't keep them focused when distraction was everywhere. That was discipline. That was choice. That was work. People who believe in luck usually say things like, oh, one day, or when the time is right. That language is poison. It delays action and feeds mediocrity. Winners don't wait for the perfect moment. They create momentum in imperfect conditions. They understand something most people never grasp. Life rewards pressure, not excuses. Every time you tell yourself luck will change things, you hand over control of your future to chance. And chance does not care about your dreams. Look closely at your own life and be honest for once. If your results are weak, it's not because the universe is against you. It's because your standards are low. Your effort is inconsistent. Your discipline disappears the moment things get uncomfortable. That's not bad luck. That's bad habits. And habits are choices repeated daily. This is where most people get uncomfortable because the truth demands accountability, and accountability is heavy. But it's also powerful because once you accept that your results come from your actions, You gain the ability to change them. That separates winners from talkers. The world is brutally fair over time. It may feel unfair in moments, but in the long run, effort compounds. Skills compound. Discipline compounds. The man who shows up every day, even at half strength, will always beat the man who waits for perfect motivation. People call it luck when consistency finally pays off, but what they're really seeing is years of invisible work colliding with opportunity. Luck is also a favorite excuse for people who are scared of failing publicly. If you try and fail, it hurts. If you never fully try, you can always blame luck and protect your pride. But pride without results is worthless. Strong men would rather fail honestly than live comfortably with excuses. They would rather be exhausted from effort than relaxed from avoidance. Because deep down, they know effort builds self-respect, and self-respect is the foundation of confidence. The moment you delete luck from your vocabulary, your mindset shifts. You stop asking why life is hard and start asking how you can become harder. You stop complaining about circumstances and start upgrading your skills. You stop envying winners and start studying their work ethic. That shift alone puts you ahead of most people, because most people never leave the comfort of excuses. Understand this and remember it when things feel slow and unrewarding. Luck is not holding you back. Waiting is. Comfort is. Inconsistent effort is. Once you face that reality, there is no hiding place left, only progress or regret. And the man who chooses progress every single day becomes something luck could never create, dangerously capable. Most people don't lose because they're weak. They lose because they're loud. They talk about their plans, announce their goals, and crave validation before they've earned a single result. They want applause at the starting line instead of respect at the finish. Real power doesn't move like that. Real power is quiet. It works when nobody is watching and grows when nobody is clapping. The men who actually win understand this early noise is for attention, silence is for construction. Here's the uncomfortable hook most people avoid. The moment you start talking too much about what you're going to do, your mind feels rewarded without the work being done. You leak energy. You trade progress for praise. That's why so many people stay stuck in the planning phase, the talking phase, the almost there phase. Winners shut their mouths and sharpen their skills. They don't need to be seen working, they need to become undeniable. Silence builds discipline because there's no audience to impress. When no one is watching, your true character shows up. Do you still train when nobody knows? Do you still work when there's no praise waiting? That's where real self-respect is forged. Anyone can perform when the spotlight is on. Only a serious man performs when the room is empty and the grind is boring. And that boring work is what creates dangerous men. People mistake quiet for weakness. They think silence means hesitation or fear. In reality, silence is often strategy. While others are busy posting, comparing, and seeking approval, the silent worker is stacking skills, stacking money, stacking confidence. He doesn't argue online. He doesn't explain himself. He lets results handle the conversation. And when results speak, they speak louder than any words ever could. There's another truth most people hate: working in silence protects your focus. The world is full of distraction designed to steal your attention and dilute your energy. Opinions, criticism, praise, doubt, all of it pulls you away from execution. When you move quietly, you stay locked in. You're not reacting to noise, you're producing outcomes. Focus is power and silence guards that power. Think about the men you respect the most. They didn't beg for attention. They didn't broadcast every struggle. They disappeared for a while, and when they came back, they were different, stronger, sharper, more capable. That's not coincidence. That's what happens when you invest energy into growth instead of noise. While others were busy explaining their dreams, they were building reality. That should hit hard. If you need to tell people what you're becoming, you're not becoming it fast enough. Results introduce you properly. Success doesn't need a press release. It needs pressure, repetition, and time. The strongest moves are often made quietly because the goal isn't to impress. It's to dominate. Silence also teaches patience, and patience separates men from boys. In a world addicted to instant feedback, being able to work without immediate reward is a superpower. Every quiet hour compounds. Every unseen effort sharpens you. And one day, without warning, people notice. They call it overnight success. But you know the truth. There was nothing overnight about it. When you commit to working in silence, Something else changes. You stop needing approval. You become internally driven. You don't need motivation speeches or external pressure because your standards are non-negotiable. You do the work because that's who you are now. And once work becomes identity, results become inevitable. Let the world stay loud. Let average men talk, post, complain, and announce you move differently. You build quietly. You sharpen yourself in silence. And when the results finally show up, they won't ask for permission to be respected. They'll demand it. Motivation is one of the most overrated concepts ever sold to ambitious people. It feels good, it sounds powerful, and it gives the illusion of movement, but it is unreliable, emotional, and temporary. It shows up when conditions are perfect and disappears the moment things get hard. If your progress depends on feeling motivated, you've already lost, because life doesn't care how you feel. Results are built by what you do when you don't feel like doing anything at all. Most people don't want to accept motivation is for beginners, discipline is for winners. Motivation gets you started once. Discipline keeps you going for years. Anyone can feel motivated after watching a video, hearing a speech, or imagining a better future. But that feeling fades fast when the alarm rings early, when the work is boring, when progress is slow, and when no one is watching. That's the moment discipline steps in, or you quit. Discipline is not loud or emotional. It doesn't hype you up. It doesn't care about your mood. Discipline is a quiet agreement you make with yourself and keep every day. It's doing the work whether you're tired or energized, confident or doubtful, inspired or drained. And every time you follow through, you build something far more valuable than motivation: self-trust. When a man knows he can rely on himself, his confidence becomes unshakable. Most people wait to feel ready. They wait for motivation to strike like lightning. But discipline understands a deeper truth. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. Once you start moving, momentum follows. Once momentum builds, motivation shows up naturally. But it only visits those already working. The man who sits still waiting for motivation will stay exactly where he is. Look closely at high performers, and you'll notice something important. They don't negotiate with themselves. They don't ask, "Do I feel like it today?" They ask, "What needs to be done?" That mindset alone separates professionals from amateurs. Discipline turns effort into routine, and routine turns success into something repeatable. Not luck, not talent, repeatability. There's another uncomfortable truth. The discipline is painful at first, but comfort is far more painful in the long run. Discipline hurts early, waking up tired, saying no to distractions, pushing through resistance. But comfort hurts forever. It shows up as regret, frustration, low self-respect, and a quiet disappointment with the man you could have been. Discipline is a short-term sacrifice for long-term power. Comfort is a short-term pleasure with long-term consequences. Discipline also removes emotional drama from your life. When you rely on motivation, every bad day feels like a setback. Every dip in mood feels like failure. But when discipline is in charge, emotions lose control. You act regardless. You don't need to feel confident to execute. You don't need to feel strong to show up. You move forward even when your mind is noisy, because discipline doesn't argue. It commands. That hits hard. Discipline is freedom. Weak minds think discipline is restrictive, but strong minds know it creates options. A disciplined man has choices. He can walk away from bad situations. He can handle pressure. He can build leverage. An undisciplined man is trapped by his impulses, his moods, and his excuses. He is predictable, controllable, and replaceable. Every disciplined action compounds. One workout doesn't change your body. One focused day doesn't change your life. But repeated discipline changes your identity. And once your identity changes, your behavior becomes automatic. You no longer force yourself to work. You work because that's who you are. At that point, motivation becomes irrelevant. You've outgrown it. If you want proof that discipline beats motivation, look at consistency. Motivation is inconsistent. Discipline is stable. And in a world where most people quit the moment it gets uncomfortable, the man who stays disciplined automatically rises to the top. Not because he's special, but because he refused to stop. Most people want power, confidence, and respect, but very few are willing to pay the price required to earn them. They want the results without the suffering, the rewards without the resistance, the strength without the strain. That's why they stay exactly where they are, because power has an entry fee, and that fee is pain. There is no shortcut around it, no way to negotiate it down, no luck involved. You either pay it or you live without power. That separates fantasy from reality. If your life feels easy all the time, you are not growing. Growth lives in discomfort. Strength is born in pressure. The pain you feel when you push past your limits is not punishment. It is proof that you are stepping into a higher level. Weak minds run from that feeling. Strong minds understand it's the signal that progress is happening. Pain teaches lessons comfort never will. Comfort lies to you. It tells you that you're doing enough, that you deserve rest, that tomorrow will be better without extra effort today. Pain tells the truth. Pain shows you where you're weak, where you're undisciplined, where you've been avoiding responsibility. And once you listen instead of complain, pain becomes a teacher, not an enemy. Every man who has real authority carries scars, mental, physical, emotional. Not because life was unfair to him, but because he chose to endure what others avoided. He stayed in the gym when it burned. He stayed focused when boredom attacked. He stayed committed when doubt tried to pull him back into comfort. That's how pain converts into confidence. When you've survived hard days, easy days no longer impress or intimidate you. Most people misunderstand confidence. They think it comes from words, affirmations, or external approval. It doesn't. Confidence is built when you repeatedly do difficult things and survive them. Each time you push through pain instead of escaping it, you send a message to your mind, I can handle more than I thought. That message compounds. Over time, fear loses its grip because you've proven to yourself that discomfort doesn't destroy you, it sharpens you. That hits hard pain is the great equalizer. Talent varies, intelligence varies, resources vary, but pain is available to everyone. Anyone willing to endure it can rise. The difference is choice. Most people choose distraction to avoid discomfort. They numb themselves with entertainment, pleasure, and excuses. And in doing so, they numb their potential. Strong men choose pain with purpose, and purpose transforms pain into progress. Pressure also reveals who you really are. When things are easy, everyone looks disciplined. When pressure hits, masks fall off. The man who keeps showing up under stress becomes dangerous because pressure no longer breaks him. It builds him. While others panic, he executes. While others collapse, he adapts. That's the power pain creates when it's faced head on. Pain also builds responsibility. Once you've suffered for your goals, you stop treating them casually. You respect your time. You protect your focus. You don't waste energy on nonsense because you know what it costs to get where you are. That seriousness is what separates men who play at life from men who command it. If you avoid pain, you avoid growth. If you avoid growth, you avoid power. And if you avoid power, you accept a life where others decide your limits for you. But when you choose pain intentionally through discipline, effort, and pressure, you earn something rare, the ability to stand firm when life pushes back. And that ability is the foundation of real strength. Pain is the price most people refuse to pay, and that refusal is exactly why they never gain real power. Everyone wants strength, confidence, respect, and freedom, but very few are willing to endure the discomfort required to earn them. Pain is not a side effect of growth. It is the entry fee. If there is no pain, there is no transformation. That truth alone eliminates the majority of people from ever becoming dangerous in life. They run from discomfort, and by doing so, they run from their own potential. That most people avoid pain doesn't destroy you. Avoiding pain does. When you dodge pressure, challenges, and resistance, you stay weak by default. Pain forces adaptation. It sharpens focus. It strips away delusion. When your body is under strain, it grows stronger. When your mind is under pressure, it becomes more disciplined. When your character is tested, it either collapses or hardens. There is no growth without stress, and life never rewards the untested. Strong men understand something average men never will. Comfort is the most expensive addiction on earth. It costs you ambition. It costs you sharpness. It costs you urgency. Pain, on the other hand, wakes you up. It forces you to confront who you really are. It exposes excuses and burns them away. Every hard rep, every late night, every moment you push through resistance is you paying the price in advance for a life that others will never touch. Most people see pain as punishment. Winners see it as training. They don't ask, why is this happening to me? They ask, what is this building in me? That shift in perspective changes everything. Pain becomes useful instead of emotional, becomes a tool instead of a threat. And the man who learns how to use pain instead of fearing it gains an edge that no amount of motivation can replace. There's a reason powerful people look calm under pressure. They've been there before. They've suffered before. They've paid the price repeatedly. Pain builds familiarity with hardship, and familiarity breeds confidence. When you've survived discomfort again and again, fear loses its grip. You stop panicking. You stop hesitating. You move forward while others freeze. That's power. Pain also kills entitlement. It reminds you that nothing valuable is free. Every level demands a new version of you, and that version is always forged through difficulty. The man who avoids pain stays the same forever. The man who accepts it evolves. And evolution is the true advantage in a competitive world. People will call you obsessed. They will say you're doing too much. What they really mean is that you're doing what they are too weak to attempt. Let them talk. Pain doesn't care about opinions. It only responds to those who endure it. And the ones who don't need approval, they have results. Consistency is the invisible force most people misunderstand. And that misunderstanding is why they stay average. Everyone wants massive change, but almost nobody respects small daily effort. They want breakthroughs without repetition. They want results without patience. They want progress that feels exciting every day. But real growth is quiet, slow, and repetitive. And that's exactly why it works. That separates professionals from dreamers. Consistency looks boring before it looks powerful. Doing the same disciplined actions every day doesn't feel heroic. It feels ordinary. But ordinary actions, repeated long enough, create extraordinary outcomes. What people call luck is usually just consistency they didn't witness. Most people quit too early, not because they failed, but because the results didn't show up fast enough. They mistake silence for stagnation. They don't realize that beneath the surface, momentum is building. Skills are sharpening. Habits are forming. Confidence is compounding. Consistency works quietly, and that silence makes impatient people uncomfortable. The truth is brutal. Intensity impresses people. Consistency changes lives. Anyone can go hard for a week. Anyone can feel inspired for a month. Very few can show up every day for years. And in the long run, the consistent man always wins. Not because he's smarter or more talented, but because he stayed when others left. Consistency removes emotion from the equation. You stop asking how you feel and start acting on principle. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need motivation. You execute because it's scheduled, because it's who you are now. That reliability turns effort into identity. And identity is permanent. Every small action you repeat is a vote for the man you're becoming. Skip enough days and you vote for weakness. Show up daily and you vote for power. Over time, those votes add up and your life starts reflecting them. People look at the result and call it luck, never seeing the thousands of quiet decisions that built it. Consistency also builds trust with yourself. When you keep showing up, you prove something important. You can be relied on. That self-trust becomes confidence, not loud confidence, calm confidence, the kind that doesn't need validation because it's backed by evidence. In a world addicted to instant gratification, consistency is rebellion. It's choosing long-term dominance over short-term comfort. And the man who masters consistency doesn't chase opportunity anymore. Opportunity starts chasing him. Pain is the price most people are not willing to pay, yet it is the only currency the world accepts for real power. Everyone wants strength, confidence, respect, and freedom, but very few are willing to go through the discomfort required to earn them. That's why pain scares people. It exposes weakness. It strips excuses. It forces growth. And growth is never comfortable. Most people avoid. If your life feels easy all the time, you are getting weaker. Comfort doesn't build capacity. It erodes it. Muscles grow by tearing. Minds sharpen by pressure. Character forms under stress. Pain is not a sign you're failing. It's proof you're being tested. And tests exist to separate those who want comfort from those who want power. Most people run from pain the moment it appears. They numb it with entertainment, distractions, excuses, or blame. They treat pain like an enemy when it is actually a teacher. Pain shows you where you're undisciplined, where you're soft, where you've been avoiding responsibility. If you listen instead of escaping, pain gives you information. And information, when acted upon, becomes power. Think about every strong man you admire. None of them were built in ease. They were shaped by loss, pressure, rejection, and failure. They didn't break under it, they adapted. Pain forced them to grow skills, develop resilience, and harden their mindset. While others collapsed emotionally, they learned control. While others complained, they adjusted. That's how pain upgrades a man. Here's a brutal truth that hits: deep pain is the entry fee. You don't get access to higher levels of life without paying it. You don't get financial independence without stress. You don't get physical dominance without exhaustion. You don't get mental strength without discomfort. Every level has a price, and pain is the receipt that proves you paid. Pain also kills entitlement. It humbles you. It reminds you that nothing is guaranteed and nothing is free. That humility is dangerous in the best way, because it keeps you hungry. A man who has suffered does not waste time. He moves with urgency. He doesn't need motivation speeches because he remembers what weakness felt like, and he refuses to go back. Most people misunderstand strong men. They think strength means you no longer feel pain. That's false. Strength means you feel it and move forward anyway. You train while sore. You work while tired. You stay disciplined while frustrated. Pain doesn't disappear. It just stops controlling you. And the moment pain loses control over you, you gain control over your life. There's another layer most people never reach. Pain builds respect for yourself. Every time you endure what you once avoided, your confidence increases. Not loud confidence. Real confidence. The kind that doesn't need validation. You know what you can survive. You know what you can handle. And that knowledge makes you dangerous in a world full of fragile people. Pain also sharpens focus. When life hits hard, distractions lose their appeal. You stop caring about nonsense. You start caring about results. Pressure clarifies priorities. It forces you to cut what's useless and double down on what matters. That clarity alone puts you ahead of most people who are still confused because they've never been tested hard enough. If you want power, stop praying for an easier life and start preparing for a harder one. Pain is not your enemy. Avoidance is. Comfort is. Weak habits are. Pain is simply the process of becoming more than you were yesterday. And the man who understands this stops running, stops complaining, and starts using pain as fuel. So stop asking, when will my luck change? Ask, how hard am I really working? Stop scrolling, stop dreaming, stop talking. Start building. Start showing up like your life depends on it, because it does. Nobody is coming to save you. Nobody owes you anything. But if you're willing to work harder than everyone else, longer than everyone else, and stay disciplined when everyone else quits, the world will eventually have no choice but to reward you. Remember this when it gets hard, when you're tired, when quitting feels tempting. Luck is a lie. It was never real. Only work decides. And the man who understands this becomes unstoppable.